today is very nice because we're going to be breaking down the first set of submitted fights. This was submitted to us by Nighthawk and Peachy, so thank you to you two for submitting your fights. As per usual, and for everybody that's new throughout the session, if you have questions or you don't understand something or you want us to go back over a fight, rewind, re-explain things, so it's a good indicator that you've already won the first fight, or not the first fight, the first turn, right? As you pass one another, right, you continue to maneuver in relation. Peachy, it looked like it's continuing to stay to that nose to nose, right? Like you can see their medium aspect to Nighthawk. You know, like when we're looking at Nighthawk's plane in Peachy's view right here, you can see more or less the center of his view is pointing at the side of Nighthawk's plane, telling me that, oh, okay, he's cutting into his circle, right? Which is the absolute right thing to do in this scenario, you know, because he beat him on the first turn. Need to stay aggressive. All right, Nighthawk went down first and then started coming back up. Gets himself a neutral pass, right? Pulls some instantaneous, gets a shot off. Still a neutral pass, right? Like best case scenario, like that's the best case scenario for Nighthawk, right? He recognized that he was losing on that first turn, but now it's right here. It's compounded, right? Like he neutralized himself. I don't think he's quite stayed nose to nose with Peachy on this, at least from what it looks like. Or Peachy didn't stay nose to nose with Nighthawk. It gave Nighthawk a little bit of turning room, and now Nighthawk is medium aspect to Peachy with Peachy out front, right? Peachy still turning into Nighthawk here, right? Like absolute correct thing to do, just kind of delayed in it, right? And now Nighthawk's got them out front. In this scenario, Nighthawk is doing a good job of staying nice and aggressive. I think he kind of went. I think he may have gone to lag pursuit on this one. Right. We'll go back and look at this real quick. At this pass. Right. We come into this pass. You can see that his lift vector stayed, at least predicted, kind of stayed below Peachy. It gave a little bit of turn room. Peachy immediately reversed their turn, pulled back into Nighthawk, and got him out front. Right. Like we'll look at this right here. Boom. He's got Nighthawk out front. It's a very good back and forth between these two, right? Like this is a really good example of it's better to be neutral than completely defensive, right? Like with each turn, one of them is gaining and one of them is losing turning room, and they're capitalizing on that, right? It's something that you don't see a lot of people doing, right? They always think, oh, I'm going to go for that one gun shot and just keep on, I guess, keep pressing. But no, these two, they're taking their lift vectors off of one another just slightly and then turning back into each other, right? They give themselves that little bit of turning room with each pass. And now they've kind of transitioned into a two circle, right? Like you saw that one pass that they did. Let me go back here. Right here. Nose to tail, right? In a vertical. And then Nighthawk, right? Like he recognized that he won that last turn, right? And he's like, oh no, I need to stay aggressive. So he's going to cut down into it rather than follow it up. Now he's back to that medium aspect. Pulls in. Peachy sees that reversal cue. Reverses into him. And look at that. Now Peachy's got him out front, right? Like this is a classic case of on one pass not watching your range, your aspect, or your closure. See, this is it right here. It's like, yes, I could get that shot off. What I think would have been a better option is take your Nighthawk for him to take his lift vector, put it into lag pursuit, still following Peachy, right? But putting it into lag pursuit because he's already coming down into this turn. But what that would do is kind of solidify his position behind him, but instead it gave Peachy a lot of range, aspect, and closure to work with to hit that reverse. He's got him out front. Now they go into this nice flat Peachy again, right? He squeezed him out front on the last one, so he's going to inherently have a much easier time in this fight than Nighthawk, at least initially, and he does a really good job of capitalizing on this, right? With each pass, you can kind of see it. He commits to that lag pursuit just for about a second, and then reverses, right? That's keeping him behind Nighthawk. You know, like a lot of people think, oh, I need to go for this gunshot. I need to, kill this person, die, whatever, right? They always constantly pull lead. But if you're always pulling lead, right, you're always pulling in front of the other guy's aircraft, eventually you're going to go out front, right? Because that's where you're traveling towards. So that 1 second in lag pursuit can get you in a situation like this. You see how these scissors are starting to narrow? And now Nighthawk's further and further in front of Peachy, right? And now Peachy's, at this point, can either continue to be this aggressive or could go into follow-on BFM. Either way is going to work out for him. Nighthawk ditches out into the rate fight, right? Peachy going into follow-on BFM. You see what he did here? This is what we refer to when we say follow-on BFM. He could go into lead pursuit, cut into the circle immediately, and try to shoot Nighthawk out here, but instead he goes to lag, follows up first, right? He's going to where Nighthawk maneuvered first, or at least towards it, and then turning, right? Following his movements. And because of that, he's watching his range, his aspect, and closure. It's a little hard to see, but I mean, Nighthawk's right here. But if he had gone for that shot, right? If he'd gone for that shot right here, he would have given Nighthawk an overshoot, right? Or a reversal cue. But instead, he watches it. He stabilizes himself as best he can, right? Nighthawk continues to go into that rate, but Peachy's built up such an offensive position and regained all that speed coming down that it's all just clockwork. Bingo, bango, boingo, right? Any questions from anybody? Start with people, here in the Discord with us. Do you guys have anything you want to look back over? Anything that didn't make any sense? Yeah, we will. Yep, we'll read them out. Either that, or we could also pull people up onto the stage and they can speak their question as well if they're comfortable with that. What mistake put Nighthawk in front again? Okay, so let me come back here. Was it this turn? I think it was this one, right? So you see right here, Nighthawk is coming down. He's on top of Peachy already. He's got all this range between him, right? He could put himself into lag pursuit, do a little bit of follow-on, kind of like Peachy did later on, but instead he's cutting in, and he's going for that gunshot, right? He's being nice and aggressive. Peachy recognized this, right? Sees Nighthawk coming, starts to go vertical as well to climb over the nose, and rolls it over, right? He hits that reversal cue really, really well, pulls in, and just squeezes him out front. And now when he's right here, right, he commits to that lag pursuit for just about a second and then re-reverses his turn to keep on maneuvering in relation with Nighthawk. And that's solidifying his position, right? You see with each turn, with each pass, Nighthawk's getting further and further out front until finally they try to ditch out into the rate, probably in the next turn, I want to say, is when he did. Yeah, it was this one right here, where he ditches out, goes for the rate, right? Now, right here, Peachy has a chance to do what Nighthawk did, right? He could go into lead and try to get that shot off, and he very well can. Nighthawk's low on health, right? Like, he's a little bit lower on speed, but if he does that, he incurs a risk. It's like, oh, what risk is that? Well, he's in lead pursuit. He's very, very fast. That's going to absolutely kill his range, right? Range is going to get lower and lower. Closure is going to get higher, and his aspect is also going to get higher, right? Because he's trying to pull out in front of him to get the lead he needs for a gunshot. And that could give Nighthawk a reversal cue, or at least definitely would. So instead he goes to that lag pursuit, then pure, stabilizes himself first, and then commits, right? He realigns himself. And now because he dipped down, because of the timing of all that, right, he came down right over here, rode out his energy, went to that lag pursuit, and just followed Nighthawk. He's got plenty of energy. He's got good position, good range, very low aspect, lead, shots out, kablamo. There's the kill. Right? Like, Peachy worked for that position first before they get the shot. Nothing wrong with going for a gunshot, a snapshot here and there, but if it's going to compromise position in a way that's going to cost you the fight, best not to go for it, right? Solidify your position first or stabilize it. That makes sense. Does that make that answer your question there, Armored? Okay, no, he's said much appreciated. Tiohu says, I think the gun reticle on this aircraft has a very limited range of motion. So even if it might put me at a disadvantage later, should I still try to get closer before firing? Honestly, I would say yes. Like, in any aspect, you should always try to get as close to your opponent as you can before taking a shot. Like, you could take long range shots, but there's no guarantee that it's going to hit. The closer you are, the more likely your shots are going to be on target, right? Because you have a much bigger target and a much closer one to fire at. If that makes any sense, Tiohu. He's typing. Also, while he's typing, if any, he says thank you. All right. Before we move on, is there anybody in the instance that has any questions or wants to look over anything? Again, I know
there is a delay.
Jono's. Yeah, I know Jono said there was a delay, but right about now they should be seeing that. They should be seeing that, give or take. We'll give them a second for the people in the instance. We need to, because I know he's muted in here. Jono, if you could, like, when you hear us say, hey, if they have any questions, like, bring it up. No, you're good. Any? Okay. Or the only person that asked a question or wanted to, it was Sunny. Okay. Okay. No, he's typing it out right now. We'll give him a second to type that out. Ben, is there anything you want to add while we're waiting on that?
Not really. I think it was just like a very good example of just how being too greedy and aggressive can compromise you in the long run. It's if you compromise on your energy or your you go for it's that energy versus nose position argument again, where sometimes you can tip the scales too much one way, and too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. Like pulling lead, yeah, it's nice. You're increasing like your rate of closure. You're getting closer to them. Your angle off is reducing, but if you don't maintain that, if you're not careful enough, you can screw yourself over. Like you said earlier, pulling lead is pulling in front of the bandit. So if you just keep pulling lead, you're gonna end up in front of them. So I think it's just a very classic case of just being too aggressive and too greedy from Nighthawk in this video, and Peachy capitalizing on that.
I know, very good reads on their part.
Yeah.
Also, while Sonny continues to type out his question, if anybody wants to have their fights broken down again in the BFM Breakdown submission channel in the Discord, just drop them there. It's a first come, first serve basis. So, like, probably next week we're gonna look at some of Bamboo's fights, and then whoever after that. He's still typing out here.
The longest question known to man.
That's all right.
I can hear him. Yes.
Also, for anybody who's new, both here in the Discord and watching the stream in the instance, don't be afraid to ask a question, even if you think it's stupid. Like we say this every single time we host some of these instances. Everybody who comes into these is gonna be at a different skill level or experience level, right? Some people, it could be their very first time being introduced to dogfighting, or at least the concept of it. Some people have been doing it for a while. Some people are somewhere in the middle. So like, don't feel like there's a dumb question. There isn't. I mean, at least there really isn't, as long as it's pertaining to, BFM. If there's something you really don't understand or you want to have answered, like, just ask it. Everybody, we all started somewhere. Still haven't. Okay. All right. Sonny says, during that one circle, when is the best way to try and get into, or do I lag pursuit during the fight? During that one circle, when is the best way to try and get into or do a lag? Okay, no, I understand the question. So
I think
when
it's
is the
like
best?
when-
Yeah. When's the best time to
when-
get into lag pursuit? Okay. Well, here, let's look at this, right? Like, let's rewind this real quick. Back to when they got into that flat. I might have gone a little too far. So right here, right? Okay, here we go. Perfect. Right here, you can see head-on pass, but Nighthawk, he got his nose on first. He got a couple shots off. He's cutting into a circle. I'd say right here, honestly, or even pure pursuit, right? Like, this is what's going to set him up for that scissors, because, their nose-to-nose aspect is high, closure is high, range is getting lower and lower. That slight, like, turn into lag pursuit can really help out, right? Like, that's going to push you towards their rear first. Especially now, right? Like, look at how much range there is between them right here, right? He's got his nose onto Peachy right here. There's a ton of range between them. Just that little bit of lag pursuit right there, even just for a split second, can help solidify that position he's got, right? And then you just continue to maneuver in relation from there. Now Peachy, right, did a really good job here reading this, right? They kind of pre-turned that reversal and helped cut that down, right? So they want to stay nice and aggressive. But Nighthawk, again, started that offensively, right? So even though Peachy was able to get that quick snapshot on, like, Nighthawk still, I would argue, at least at this moment in time, has a better position than Peachy does. So even right here, let's say lag pursuit could help out a little bit, or help solidify that position. And then reversing, right? And I think he went to do that, but then he kind of reversed a little too slow. Still cut in, and then right here as well, that little bit of lag pursuit would have helped out just a bit, giving him a little bit more turning room to work with, would have denied Peachy a little bit of turning room, would have reduced his rate of closure, would have made his aspect a little bit, a little bit, oh God, a little lower, not higher, a little bit lower.
Mhm.
It would have helped stabilize him. But as he stays in the lead, Peachy did a really good job of reversing it and staying at pure, right? Knew that he had a high rate of speed, high rate of closure. And now he's going into that, like, 1 second lag pursuit, right? So that 1 second. We'll count down, right? Lead, pure. You see how he kind of drives towards his tail in lag for just that split second right there, and then he reverses. And you can see Nighthawk get further and further out front from it. And now they're nice and tight, right? There's not a whole lot of turning room between them, which means now Nighthawk can't really create aspect problems anymore. And if he can't create aspect problems, that reduces his ability to create closure problems as well and make these overshoots happen, which is what you need in a scissor to win. And Peachy driving towards his tail just for that split second. You see that? Like, go back to this. Right here, you can see Nighthawk's tail right there. Peachy's in lag pursuit right now, driving towards their tail, keeping that range nice and high. Like, now Peachy, like, could cut into this circle and start shooting at him because he has all this range between him before he gets an overshoot. But, he's staying smart about it, going to pure, staying to lag, finding all those moments in time when he needs to be pulling for lead or when he just needs to be following on. And it solidified his position. Now he's got all that range. He's nice and stable. Bingo, bango, boingo. the dominoes all fall into place, you know. That makes sense.
When, obviously you're using like pursuit to take, let's say, a high or medium aspect fight into a low aspect fight because you want to be behind the guy you're fighting and preferably pointing at them. And it's kind of like, the way I would describe it is like, in like a very, very simplified term, it's like when you're driving a car on like a motorway or a highway or whatever you call it, and you're trying to slot in behind someone. You're not going to be on the gas the whole time. You're not going to be like full force steering into them. You're just trying to find that opening or that gap that you can slide your plane into, basically. And when you go into like pursuit, obviously, your aspect and your aspect will start to decrease, and you want your intention or your end goal is to be in that a low aspect dogfight. And if you can find just the right moment or the right place to transition from a lead of pure pursuit and take it from that medium aspect fight to a low aspect fight, transition from that fight to the other one, that's kind of the goal. You're trying to find that opening in the position or in the turn where you can just transition from that lead or pure and transition it into like pursuit and take it from a neutral medium aspect fight or a high aspect fight into the low aspect fight. Is kind of your intention there. If that makes sense.
All right. Are there any other questions from anybody
Yeah,
here in
we have
the
to
here
let
in the
Sunny
VC,
to
or
finish typing.
I don't even see him typing.
He is. It says he is, at least.
I'll probably see it here in a second. While he is, are there any other questions from anybody here in the VC or out there in the instance with Jono? Okay. One circle one is the best way to try and get into or do a lag pursuit during the fight. So I have to get the okay. So I have to get the all right, yes. So I have to get the opening or something like it to get onto his 6. Go ahead, Ben. You started.
Oh yeah, sorry. How would I say? I'm I'm formulating. You say something whilst I think. Or
Okay, well here, we'll explain it while looking back at this fight again, right? So we'll go to the point where the overshoots start. So right about here, right? Nighthawk's got that. Nighthawk's got the offensive position, right? He's getting his nose onto Peachy first. Follows on here. Peachy doesn't have the turning room. Oh wait, was that the one? Yeah, that was the reversal. Hold on, I need to go to the first one. Here it is. Here's the first one, I think, or it comes in like the next turn. So Nighthawk is offensive here, right? Goes to take the shot, doesn't quite have the lead for it. Peachy reverses into him. Right, gets his quick snapshot off. Nighthawk reverses again. And then right here, right, or in the next turn probably. Yeah, no, it is the next turn. Right here is when he goes in for that shot, right? This is what completely breaks his winning position. Is when he stays in lead trying to get that shot off, right? Like you can even see him pre-turning into this reversal. Because he knows he's not going to get the shot off, but he's still in lead pursuit, right? Like he's driving himself out front. This right here, like with this high closure, this very low range, and this high aspect pass, like this is your opportunity. It's like, all right, I can at least neutralize it here, right? So we're going to pull in, we're going to pull everything we got. And as soon as you got it there, like, okay, I've got the other person out front. At least on that first pass, this second one, I got to beat him here. I got to beat him here. All right, I beat him. Here's my chance to follow through, right? It's just like a golf swing, right? Like whenever, or swinging a baseball bat at a ball. Whenever you practice doing it right, they don't say, hey, stop your swing on contact with the ball, right? You follow through with it, right? You continue your swing through contact. It's just like that here, right? You don't stop. Like if I just stop my turn right here where I know I can shoot him, I'm going to stay in lead pursuit. I'm going to drive myself forward. I'm going to create a higher aspect, higher closure for myself and this other person, right? And keep their options open. And like we've said before, we want to limit their options while expanding ours. So what do? Follow through with it, right? We go towards their tail first, right? And even then, with all this range, we can still pre-turn that reversal. We know that reversal is coming. It's coming out here in front of us. But because we're turning towards their tail first, we're going to solidify our position. See, right here again. We could stop right here, right? We could go straight. We could go for that shot or pull lead for that shot. Or follow through with it first and then turn. Then we do it again here, right? Like you can see he's nice and stable out front, even throughout these snapshots. We could stop right here. We could keep pulling lead, keep pulling lead, keep pulling lead. Or we can follow through, right? We intentionally pass out towards their back first and then reverse into that turn, right? And now that this scissors kind of continue, we've been pre-turning their turns and everything, we're getting more and more narrow with turning room to the point where one person has to ditch out, which is 9 times out of 10 going to be the defensive person. And now we can just go to follow on BFM, which Peachy does here, and solidify our position behind the bandit, right? Like, we can now stabilize ourselves. We're nice and comfortable until we get to here where it's like, oh man, look at all this range. Okay, do I have the energy to pull a little bit more? Yeah, I do. I'm within range of my guns. We're aligned, right? Our planes of motions are aligned. I can pull lead. Shots out. Plenty of time. Like, look at this, right? He waits for this moment here. See how long he has to shoot at him for. Say 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, 4, 5, 6. About 7 seconds passed before he crossed his plane of motion. That's 7 seconds that Peachy could just sit there. He had the range, he had the lead, and he was aligned with Nighthawk to take that shot. Like, that's an eternity in any plane to be able to sit there, take aim, and shoot at somebody, right? And the only way you get to that is by, reading into this, right? Setting yourself up for it. Does that make sense, Sonny? Or does that explain it? He gets it? Okay. Oh, are you in the instance as well, Ben?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just
Okay.
observing.
If you've got talking points too, like I kind of you said to just go, and I rambled on there.
I think this also leads into the situation of line of sight and like a line of sight rate, I should say, and tracking how quickly your bandit or your opponent is traveling across your fuselage, and using that to determine when or what to do in certain situations. And typically, like the higher like, how do I say, the higher rate or line of sight rate the bandit has or the target has, you typically want to like transition into that lag pursuit, because it typically means they're crossing your canopy at a higher rate of like at that higher line of sight or line of sight rate. I'm just going to LOS. The faster LOS that they are going across your canopy, the easier it is for you to transition from a lead of pure pursuit into lag, because they're traveling faster and faster across your canopy. And if they're traveling across your canopy, they're eventually gonna end up out in front of you, and that's like the next thing, I guess, is learning about line of sight and how that can affect the 1 circle or the 2 circle. But yeah, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling. I know you understand what I'm saying, CD, but
Oh, no, this is good stuff.
People
like
don't.
that's what this stuff is. It's meant to be a discussion. Right. Do we got any other questions? Anybody here in the VC? Anybody out there in the instance? I'll give Jono a second to respond. Or wait, you're there. Like, if anybody says anything, just bring it up, Ben.
Yeah, I don't hear anyone right now.
We're good.
Oh,
Good to go to the next one.
Video.
Nope, you're good. Like we're accommodating for the delay. Okay. Nope, that's fine. Yeah, just have like as soon as because I know with the delay, like as soon as you hear me. Yeah. No? Okay. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll drive on. We'll drive on. So next fight. All right. Still the same people. I love Peachy's music. All right. Into the merge.
What song did he use?
I don't know. It fades out. But
Ah,
first turn
upset.
again, I'd give it to Peachy. Like we're looking at Nighthawk here. We're looking at a silhouette, pretty wide silhouette. Whereas we're starting to see Peachy's canopy bow. I'd say Peachy's won this first turn. Even rolls it over, right? Anticipates that overshoot and goes to maneuver in relation with Nighthawk, right? Like he ended up going up, Nighthawk went down, but he's keeping that nose to nose, or at least trying to. Whereas Nighthawk is trying to push for that lag pursuit, going to the rate. Oh, wait a minute. I think I mixed that up. Yeah, PG nosed it. Okay, no, they both kind of went into the rate, or at least Nighthawk initiated it, right? With Peachy going up higher, he's bleeding more of his speed, and Nighthawk's just kind of maintaining. That's a double-edged sword. It's like, okay, cool. I've got more energy that I can ride through, but I'm also giving up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm giving up turning room to my opponent, right? Because now that they're up, I didn't maneuver in relation with them. They can dip back down. They get that energy back, right? But you're still sustaining a better circle. Right here, you can see they're both kind of sticking into lag pursuit with one another. They're maintaining this rate fight, right? Like they're sticking to it. Now they've hit the deck transition, so now there's, no altitude to work with. They're pretty heavily offset too. Like right here, you can see that line of sight that Ben was talking about. As they cross it a little bit faster, this is a good indication of, oh, we're offset here, right? As they travel back in your canopy, it's like, all right, we've just crossed where they're closer, and now as they transition back forward, it's like we've come back again, right? Like I'm about to cross their plane of motion as they come out closer, right? Because now they're heading away, they're heading back, okay, now they're heading forward. Now Peachy right here, right? First questionable thing I'd say is this, right? You're set up in this neutral rate, neutral offset, and then Peachy starts to go up, right? Now, I mean, you can do high yo-yos and everything. Typically, you don't want to have your nose up high too long in this unless you're really, really fast and you've got the energy to work with it. But, I mean, I'm going off of this assuming that they were at a fairly similar energy state. But if you do this, right, and you commit to it, you're giving up a lot of turning room to your opponent, right? Typically, you go nose up, you come nose down, and that's to cut your circle in even more. It's meant to help you turn a little bit tighter and bring the center of your circle further away from your opponents, right? And make that offset even more severe. But that's not what happens here, right? They commit to going up. You can see Nighthawk very quickly is capitalizing on this, pulling in, getting that nose on Peachy, right? Staying in that pure pursuit. And I'd say this is a very nice setup for Nighthawk, right? Like even though he's overshot Peachy's plane of motion right out here, there's a lot of range between them. Right here, it honestly just go to pure or lag pursuit. It looks like he goes to lag. He knows that he started out faster. He picked up a little bit of position in the circle. And is going to try to commit to it. Pure, staying in pure. You can Peachy, right? Like I think they've recognized. Right, Peachy goes up. Nighthawk following and cutting into their circle. He's got plenty of energy, building that position. Still heavily offset, right? Goes into that slight lag, kind of into pure pursuit. Peachy reversing the turn, giving him some aspect problems as he rolls over, making him go to medium aspect. has recognized that he made a mistake further there. He's committing to his defensive, and now he's got himself misaligned with Nighthawk, right? He's going to deny him that shot via geometry. Is now in that peer pursuit. He's looking to create more and more closure issues, right? And as you look at Nighthawk on his screen, right, like he's sticking to that pier, now going to lead as he's coming down, and he's squeezed Nighthawk out front. Now right here, it'd say, yes, you can stay in lead pursuit, right? Like you can see they're very, very close to one another. Closures typically high, aspects medium right now, right? Like they're side by side. If they were to go flat, they'd be side by side with one another, right? So I mean, closures a bit more manageable here, even though they're super, super close. A bit more manageable than at high aspect, right? Here's where I would say is Peachy should be going into that like lag follow throughs, right? Like turning into Nighthawk, committing to that slight lag follow through, and then reversing their turn. But I think Nighthawk, right, like started just a bit faster than Peachy. And Peachy was pulling much more tightly, at least at first, right? And squeezed Nighthawk out front. And now we're going to that flat where we commit to that lag pursuit ever so slightly. Nighthawk, ditching out into the rate. He recognized early on he was losing that scissors, and now is in a raid on the deck. Very offset, good move on his part, right? He knew that Peachy was pulling in, that he was nice and slow. He could at least get away, build a little bit, get a couple of ankles back, and has even started to outrate Peachy. You see Peachy coming out front, at least in Nighthawk's view. And he's reading that circle, right? He's looking at that point where Peachy's moving forward in his canopy. And that's kind of where he's starting to pull. Not quite committing here, right? Like you can see him pulling as you get closer. You go into that lag pursuit. Keep that range high, because if you keep that range high and that other person decides to reverse when you cross their plane of motion, then you have a ton of turning. They just gave you a ton of exclusive turning room to work with. You just pull in and shoot them. Peachy, didn't do that though. Didn't reverse his turn. He recognized that range was way too high for a reversal. Built their speed back up. Heavily, exaggerated this offset. And is setting himself up to try to redefine this fight, right? Like he identified quickly in the rate that he was defensive, and he did something about it, right? And now he's gotten to a point to where he's offset so heavily that he's getting a couple shots off at Nighthawk. And that was a point where Nighthawk I honestly think should have reversed his turn, right? Like you see Peachy coming in, aspects really, really high, closures really, really high, shots are out, and the range is really close.
That line of sight rate is also increasing, and you can see that there. Right, just go on.
Right here, I honestly think Nighthawk should have reversed his turn. Could have either neutralized or even squeezed Peachy out front. You see how fast he passes by him?
Maybe the intention from Night was, Peachy pulled in his nose, got quite slow. If I continue on this plane of motion, I can outrun Peachy's nose on the next turn. But because of the offset, like Peachy's is able to pull back in and around and go for another gunshot.
That's where he took out his engine right there.
Yeah.
Right, like that I'd say is the mistake made. Like right here, should have reversed it right there. That's very high rate of closure.
A lot of angle off as well. A lot of turning room for him to work with.
But he committed to it, right? And I mean, good on him, right? Like if you think you've made a mistake, right, it's better to commit to that mistake than to try to correct it.
It's actually a good example of how small the window is to make these decisions. Because if you just go like reverse now, and then if you go forwards even a second, it's too late. That's how small your window is to make these decisions and these transitions in the fight. Where literally like, oh, that's a perfect reversal cue to, oh, it's too late. Within a millisecond. Which is just showing you how small the margins are in this situation. And I think he reversed the second time, but his engine was already shot out. Which shows you, if you're indecisive, you die, basically, in a dogfight. That's the unfortunate thing.
Yeah, no, that one he took his engine out on that one. I don't know if you guys heard the ding there, but Any questions on that? Anything people want to have, re-explained or gone back over, both here and in the instance. We'll also give them a second to let the stream catch up to those guys.
Yes, any questions? Sonny's typing, so.
Okay. By the time he is typed out too, it should be enough time for should be enough time for the stream to catch up. We play that fight again.
Play again if you want.
Yeah, we can play it again. I'll see if these guys in the instance have any questions first.
Everyone just wants to watch it again. Oh my god.
All right, yeah, we'll watch it again.
It's kind of like I can answer that.
Somebody in the instance.
Someone asked, like, how do we sustain energy in these fights, basically? And that just goes into, energy management. It's a case of there is an optimal parameter that your aircraft can function in, an optimal airspeed, an optimal AOA, and you've got to find that. If you're just pulling on the stick the whole time, you're just bleeding energy and bleeding and bleeding, and you're just going to stall. Your plane needs energy to fight. The better you maintain your energy, like in the long term, the better you turn, basically, if that makes sense. It's pretty simple, honestly. It just becomes a case of you gauging how much you need to turn. Because if you're too conservative, you maintain too much energy. You're losing angles, you're losing position, you're being outrated, you're being outturned. If you pull too hard, you're losing too much energy. The same thing's going to happen. They're going to start outrating you. They're going to having a lack of energy is going to kick you in the ass. Having too much energy is bad, and having too little energy is also bad. So you've just got to find that fine couple of 100 knots where your plane will optimally function and maneuver.
Yep. Armored also asked, can you point out when someone's offensive and defensive during the replay? Yeah, we'll go. I can do that. Let me find the beginning of this fight.
I think it's good to also mention, I guess, the differences between being positionally defensive, because you can be positionally defensive, but let's say you have an energy advantage, it isn't that bad of a situation to be defensive in that situation, even though in terms of angles and position, they're behind you, but there's not much they can do about it because they've compromised their airspeed and energy, and that's where you go back to that nose versus energy and nose position versus energy advantage, where it's like when you're in the fight, typically at the beginning of the fight, one person will compromise their energy for nose position and the other guy will compromise their nose position for the energy advantage. And so being positionally defensive doesn't mean you're actually screwed. It could mean that you're actually in a far better situation depending on the aircraft. Yeah, go on.
Yep.
Go CD.
We'll look at this one again. So right off the merge into the first turn, right here, I'd say Peachy's offensive, right? Their nose is pointing closer to Nighthawk. You can see Nighthawk starting to climb over. He's got a much wider silhouette to look at than Nighthawk does, right? Next turn, they break out, fairly neutral, right? Or at least that's how they started out. Nighthawk's got a little bit more, airspeed, but Peachy's got, altitude, so they're going to cut into Nighthawk's circle, right? Regain that speed while also setting up an offset. As soon as they hit the deck, it becomes more and more prominent, that they're in an offset 2 circle, or the offset that they have, right? And just judging based on how they pass by one another, right? You see the tops cross one another more or less at the same time, so they're fairly neutral in this, Like they're both starting to cross each other more or less at the exact same time. Like if you look between them, you can see they go from being out front to heading towards the rear of the plane at the same time. And then right here, because Peachy went for this high yo-yo, I'm not too sure what they were doing, has given up a bit of position. Now Nighthawk, I'd say, positionally anyway, is offensive, right? Like he's got his HUD on Peachy.
I was also going to say that in the 2 circle, it's very minimal or very minute, but you can see that like Knight's nose gets on a little bit earlier than Peachy's if like they were to continue that offset. But it's the most minute difference that it's like almost like a negligible in how it is. But if that fight was to continue in that flat 2 circle, Knight probably would have worked his nose around first, and I think that's why they chose to transition into that vertical, unless like it was unintentional from Peachy, I guess. Yeah. We'll see. Peachy's typing. We can literally ask the guy himself why he transitioned from the flat to the vertical.
While he's typing out, we'll go ahead and continue on, right? So, Knight, I'd say, much more offensive, at least at the moment, right? And then right here, as he goes into that lead pursuit, and range closes, and aspect starts to build, like, still offensive, ever so slightly, but he's getting closer and closer and closer, and getting more and more, you know, in line with Peachy, until they get to right here. Right? Peachy rolls it over, squeezes Nighthawk out front, and now Peachy is offensive. He's got Nighthawk out front. He's keeping himself nice and aggressive. Not giving him any turning room to work with. He knows he started faster, right? Keeping him out front. Yeah, now Peachy is offensive in the flat. And even as Nighthawk goes to ditch out into this rate fight, right? You got to remember, Peachy started out. He started out in an offensive position. They were both crossing one another in that scissors. So now Peachy's got that slight nose advantage over Nighthawk, even in this circle.
Also, can you go back to the transition of the roller? No, when they leave the roller into the 2. There you go. Just continue.
Should be here, like in the next couple of turns.
Continue.
Yeah, right here.
Like Knight continues his plane of motion there. Peachy's able to reverse his turn, and that. Oh, I should say, sorry, wrong route. But you know, go back again. Go back again. My brain is all muddled up. But here we go. So there we go. They're in this roller here.
It's this turn. It's this turn.
Yeah. Knight. I was right. Okay. Knight continues his plane of motion. Peachy's able to reverse his turn. That gave Peachy a lot of like position very quickly, but obviously Knight has a bit more energy, so he was outrunning the nose for a split second. But that builds a lot of offset between them as they transition. Just the way they transition to build that offset, and Peachy is able to take advantage of that offset as he pulls in.
Even right here, like in this offset, at least initially, I'd say Nighthawk started out offensive, right?
Yeah.
You can see him building it, getting his nose on before
he
Peachy.
He continued that plane of motion. He has he's higher energy state, whilst Peachy had to reverse his turn to get into that 2 circle with the Knight. And he's slower, but for some reason,
right.
I don't really understand the climbing up and going back down. It seems to.
I mean, typically you do that to try and tighten down your turn at one point, so you can make the offset a bit more severe.
Yeah.
In this case,
it did the opposite. It kind of compromised Knight.
I mean, had Knight followed them up had Knight followed him up initially, then maybe it would have, but he kind of delayed himself, and because of that, you know, Peachy's able to get up top first, gets his nose down first, able to get more instantaneous first, and now look, Now
made that
the
offset
offset
just a lot worse.
even more severe. That's
Yeah.
why maneuvering in relation with your opponent is so important. But you'd also notice that as they come down in this, right? As they come down, Peachy's nose like is pointing more at Nighthawk now. This is like first indication, oh shit, these are losing cues. Like I only see the nose of that aircraft, even though we're at high aspect, like my nose is pointing away, their nose is pointing towards me. And Peachy really capitalizes on that. Like in these next few turns, like this right here. The first one where they get their nose on, shots out.
And this is where the reversal cue comes in.
This is where
Honestly,
it should have
earlier
happened.
as well, when Peachy came out of that high yo-yo, and that offset first appeared earlier on. If we go earlier, before the circle before, not this, all the way through where Peachy does the high yo-yo. No, you're going further back. Where are we going?
There's two high
Yeah.
yo-yos. You said
Yes,
earlier.
The one before the offset was formed.
The second one. Okay.
The second one. There was also like an opportunity for Knight there to reverse. Peachy goes, oh, I'm gonna start. But like you said, Knight has a bit of an advantage here. He has more energy because he transitioned earlier. Peachy decides to climb up into the vertical. As he comes back down, around out here, he's cutting in, he's pulling a lot, using that instantaneous. He's coming around. Then here would have been a nice opportunity. If they were, depends on, they're very close to the ground, this is the issue, I would say. But like, it's risky, but that could also have been a reversal opportunity.
I mean, if he reversed towards him, then yeah, like if he tried to reverse away from him, that'd just give it away. But I think if he rolled into him and then into that reverse, like that could maybe work. But again, with all that, with very little altitude to work with,
that's
you
why
run the
I'm
risk of
saying
running into the water.
The issues are very close to the ground. But honestly, with Knight here, he should have like just climbed above the nose, tried to avoid it, and reverse the turn.
Or even go underneath the nose too. But like this was his reversal cue right here. And he missed it. That's what costed him that fight.
But yes, as I said earlier, when they were in that first rate fight, after the first turn, Peachy said like Knight was beating him, and that's the reason
Beating
why
him in the
he
rate.
transitioned into the vertical in the first round, and Knight followed him up, and then yeah. It was a good fight, though.
No, those were both really good fights.
Good fights. Yeah.
Great examples for getting offensive and defending in the flat scissors. That's such a fun plane to do a scissor into, just because of its low speed performance.
Yeah.
It just kind of floats. It's like the nose doesn't travel very. Oh, god damn it!
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if my mic cut out or not, but oh no, that's just my Discord being dumb. Okay, no, the nose doesn't travel very quick, but the planes float. If that makes sense. Like they produce enough lift at where it's like, okay, I can sit here stable for a second.
And it feels like it feels like one of those planes where you're not really, you have to kind of build angles and aspect to kind of like work your way in the roller instead of just yanking and hoping that your nose pulls onto there. So you kind of have to extend or cut into the roller at the right time to kind of force that your opponent out front, because your goal is to kind of reduce that forwards momentum, but you're not doing it by just hitting the brakes or cutting the engine. You're doing it by adding as much horizontal aspect to that travel or that plane of motion, but still traveling forwards. It's very interesting.
All right. Do we have any more questions from anybody in the VC? Anybody out there in the instance?
Helljumper and Peachy, they're both Titan.
We'll wait for them to type, and it also gives us a chance for people watching the stream in the game to kind of catch up to that point where we were asking for questions too. Okay, let's see. On that, Helljumper asks, on that last cue where you said he should have reversed, couldn't Peachy have just put his nose on faster? Well, let's take a look at that, right? Like, good question, you know? So let's take a look. Should be like right here. Yep, it is this one. So, you see this coming in, right? Like, shot out, boom. Right there's that reversal cue, right? Now, because Peachy got his nose on first, like, more often than not, people think, yeah, maybe he would get his nose on first, right? But you got to think about this. If Nighthawk anticipated that reverse, right? Like, reversed at the perfect time, right? Just before Peachy overshoots his plane of motion, there wouldn't be enough turning room between them for Peachy to get his nose on, right? Like, even if they get nose to nose, their plane, like, it would probably end up in a roller because of how tight it is, right? Like, if he reverses from this point right here, like, that plane cannot turn sharp enough at that speed to just get the nose on, right? Like, they would end up colliding if he went for that gunshot, right? So odds are it would have ended up in a roller, could have helped Nighthawk neutralize the fight and gave him a better chance of turning this fight around.
I also think, like, you got to remember that, like, when you're in a defensive position and you reverse, like, a reversal isn't the end-all be-all thing where, like, you go from being defensive to offensive. It's typically, at most, you'll neutralize the fight. But typically, it's just, you know, going from this 2 circle, reversing it into that 1 in this scenario would just be better in that situation. You got to remember, there isn't like an answer to everything, you know. There isn't like, oh, I'm defensive, let me do this and I'll be offensive. You got to remember that, like, you're not working to win in this situation. You're just working for a better scenario, and reversing into that 1 circle or that roller is just a better scenario than being in this 2 circle. Like, what is the statistical better thing to do? Like, would I rather die like this or die like that? What do I have a better chance of surviving? Is kind of the thought process you have to have, you know. So yes, it won't necessarily like win you the fight, but you're putting yourself in a better scenario.
Also, I see your question, Peachy, but there's a follow-up one from Helljumper, so I'm gonna answer that real quick. Helljumper, follow-up question. He said, and if he killed airspeed, I'm assuming that'd be a kill, right? Well, you got to think about it like this, right? Like, we're looking at this scenario right here. We got an opponent off our nose. We know that if, like, we got the range for the shot, right? And we know that there's going to be an overshoot. You know, if he bleeds his speed, right? Like, if he just sits on the air brake trying to prevent any overshoot, right, or turning room, then he may not have the energy that he needs to pull that lead, right? Like, look at how far he has to pull to get this shot, right? Like, right here, I'd say right here, his plane starts to shake around. That's telling me, oh, he's pulling. He's pull lead. Like, that's almost a 6-second pull, right? Like, that's a lot of energy that you need to bleed. They could be like 20 to 40 knots of airspeed. And if he bleeds it down, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. I might be able to get myself a little bit closer to him to the point to where it's like, if he reverses his turn, he can get out front. But at the same time, too, if you bleed that speed, it's like, oh, well, now I may not have the speed to do this instantaneous pull, right? Instantaneous versus sustained rate. I may not have the instantaneous to pull lead. Now I don't get a gunshot on him. And if he's going to hold his energy, right, like he holds on to it, he's going to outrun my nose. And on the back end, he's going to start regaining angles, right? It's that risk versus reward. So honestly, I'd say, like, better to commit to that, you know, go for that shot if you're going to go for it than to not. Because, I mean, he has a lot of range to do this, a lot of time to shoot. So, like, feasibly, Peachy could have killed him right there, but he didn't, right? And Nighthawk didn't read in on that. He didn't reverse his turn. at all. I'd say in time, but he didn't say it at all. And then Peachy's question. Peachy asked, after the merge, you said I had the advantage, but one turn later it turned neutral. How could I have kept the advantageous positioning in winning queues? Well, let's look at the beginning again. Right? Hold on. There we go. So very first turn, nose to nose, right? One circle. Right here, honestly, like if I know, and I mean I've done this many a time too, if I know I'm not going to have enough to pull the lead for that shot, I'm pre-reversing my turn. I know it's coming, we're already close, I'm pre-reversing it, and I'm pulling in, right? I'm going to tighten down my circle, and all that fun stuff. If I look down and I see my opponent's now gone, he's gone into lag, they're going to commit to the rate, right? Like you kind of come down into lag pursuit with him. No. I'm gonna stay in that
one circle.
lead or at least pure, right? Because I went up, I've got energy potential to use, and I can cut back down into that circle and cut back down into ninth circle and keep it one, right? Like I think right here, you go to lag or you go to pure. I think you're trying to do follow on BFM, but if you go into lead, you keep that nose on, cut down that range instead of passing him with all of this range between you. You could close that in and even reverse your turn into him, keep it into a one circle, right? You beat him in the first one, you got plenty of energy for it, but you let him ditch out into that rate, right? So like just committing to that one fight.
It was a case of where you were just being too conservative almost after that first turn. You committed a lot to that first turn, you've won that first turn. If you go back to like the first turn, like here I would have started reversing my turn almost, pre-turning. Started pulling and try and get nose to nose with him. I'd be like trying to force that one circle. Forcing nose to nose, high aspect fight. But here you kind of let Knight almost extend away from you.
And honestly, like, you stuck to this upwards plane of motion, whereas Knight kind of stayed horizontal and down. If you reversed it, this way, and just went horizontal with him, you probably would have squeezed him out front.
Yeah, like that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you just started, I did that a lot in the S16 tournament. I'm sure if you watch like the live stream of that, you can see me in my fights just before the end of that first turn, I'm already reversing my turn. So by the time they fly, they basically are flying past me and I'm behind them. And almost no airspeed advantage can take away that positional advantage. Yeah, they might outrun you for a bit, but if you're with all this altitude to work with, you're able to quite quickly transition back into that nice airspeed for the rate fight. Let me see.
He says, so the reversal at the top was correct, but I should have been aggressive with the altitude advantage. I mean, you kind of reversed, but you also kind of didn't, right? Like, you went to this...
Like I said, you're being too conservative with forcing that reversal at the top of the circle. Let me see.
Here. So like right here, I'd have reversed it like right into the direction that this dude's already going. He's going this way? Okay, I'm going this way. Right, because I've already beat him first turn. And press him out front. Because you got that altitude too, you could always drop your nose for some instantaneous, squeeze him out even further. But because he extended away upwards, it gave him turning room to work with, you gave him breathing room, and now he just kind of flies away from you and into that rate. That makes sense? Okay, yeah, Peachy's saying that he's got it now. Is there anybody else here in the VC out there in the excuse me, out there in the instance with any other questions, concerns, things that maybe don't make sense, something you want to go back over? This is actually nice. This was 2 fights. We've talked about it for about an hour and a half. This is good. We need to do more of this. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, I love doing this. That's what this is meant to be. It's meant to be a discussion, you know?
There you go.
We'll let the
I
instant
think
stream catch up.
I'm trying to find a nice example in the F16 tournament. I think I found an alright one. Where can you throw up the live stream of the finals of the S16 tournament?
Let me pull it up in a different
Let's
tab.
see. Yes, lovely. And then
While we're doing that,
we can look at
that'll give the stream and the
an
instance
alright
chance
example.
to catch up here. What time? No questions on your end. Okay, I'll find this really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. F16 finals. Okay. What time do you want me to go to?
We're gonna go 2 hours and 27 minutes into the tournament. It's actually me
2 hour
fighting
20.
Phil now. Yeah. I think you have to change your stream, by the way.
I do. I was setting up the
It'll be the most
what did I do?
2 minutes 20 2 hours 27 and like 30 seconds in.
Yep, I got it up. I was
There you
finding
go.
the time there.
There's
Okay.
a little bit of offset between the two of us on this merge, but it's a nice example of kind of what I would have done in your scenario.
Hug it good.
Oh, you see that? Ben's trying to avoid going over to that edge, giving Jono exclusive turning room. Very
Maybe
smart on
wanna
his end.
mute it so they don't hear the commentary, but
I mute it, but the commentary is the best
yeah.
part.
I know, but there we go. We go into this first turn. My gears are down. Wasn't being sneaky at all. I get nose on first. I reverse the turn. Keep it in that one circle fight. I decide to transition into the 2, but like if I could have continued in that lead pursuit, that's kind of like what we're trying to say is, if you reverse your turn earlier into that second one, you can gain a lot of position. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't just do that. I will say, but yeah, that's a nice example there. I think. Would you say that's a nice example? I think that's a pretty good example. But I remember doing that a lot during that tournament.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Anything that doesn't make sense, anything you want to go back over, anything we could do better to help teach people.
Yes.
Gear Down Gaming, that's why.
Yeah.
Peachy asked why Ben Gear Down.
Because I was trying to increase my drag so I blood air speed quicker. That's all.
All right, we got armored and optics. Put his gear down.
Okay.
Oh my lord. Okay.
Can we go to the end of the tournament and look at the guy holding the trophy? Can we do that? Or we can do that and then yippee. But nah.
Nah.
But nah.
Leave your canopy open next. Yep.
Yeah, but you can't put your canopy back down. That's the issue.
All right. No, hey, if there's no other questions or anything like that, we'll go ahead and we'll get the instance fired up. Give us about We'll go ahead. Give us about 5 minutes and we'll get it up. I
I'll
hope
say
everybody's ready to suffer today.
before we go. What is it? I guess there's I don't know how many Europeans are here, but on Friday, every Friday now, or when I'm free, we'll have Friday night fights, where there won't be like a training session beforehand, but it'll be a couple hours earlier than BFM Breakdown. And every Friday we'll host a 1v1 instance, and we'll just dogfight and we'll just talk basically, and that's what we'll be doing. I will make an announcement later that will explain the times for those fights, but I will just host a random playing every Friday night, and we just get to dogfight. No competition, unless you want to make it a competition, but there wouldn't be any prizes. But that's what we'll do. Yes, but Go on, CD.
Yeah, no, I hope you guys are ready to suffer because today we're gonna use the Vegan. Oh boy, V-Tails Vegan.
Gear Down Gaming.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic plane. This is yeah, this is really gonna help really make you guys work for knowing minimums on an aircraft. All right, nope, cool. We'll go ahead and yeah, close this down. Give us about
I'll
5
get the
minutes,
instance
and
up.
the instance will be up. All right, yeah, Ben will get the instance up. We will
Yes.
see you guys there. Sure.